I don't know why I get surprised by news stories anymore. It seems like every time something comes up that really pushes me to the edge of my expectation, a couple days later something else comes out that pushes me beyond the edge of anything that I could have possibly expected. And this past week out of Virginia, such a news story really surfaced. When the story first broke, the entire thing read like an article out of The Onion, and I immediately went to the internet to go and try to find stories that discounted the narrative and set the press free from something that they were advertising that didn't really happen. Unfortunately, that's not what I found, and from the news stories I've read, I really started to realize the levels of degeneracy and hatred that this country has fallen into, especially surrounding people that have decided to go and work for our commander in chief and really build their resumes and build their careers going forward to do so. On June 22nd, White House Press Secretary Sarah Sanders went to visit a Red Hen restaurant in Lexington, Virginia with some family and friends, a routine Friday night activity of food and discussion. Employees of the Shenandoah restaurant immediately recognized Sanders, as she's a pretty prominent media figure in today's politically charged atmosphere, and began texting and calling the owner to ask her what to do. The owner advised that Sanders had to be respectfully asked to leave the establishment, with some of the points of why laid out for her, and Sanders complied without incident. I'm not sure if the incident was caught on tape or not. It wouldn't surprise me, again, in today's political atmosphere. Now, after Sanders was removed from the restaurant, she went onto Twitter and advertised that it happened, and the media and the general population started going nuts about the whole situation. Pundits and the mainstream media on the left immediately started to say that the right were hypocrites because they wanted Sanders just to be able to have a meal in a restaurant, when the gay cake baker to be able to turn gays away, even though the baker in Colorado has never turned away a gay customer in his life, just has asked not to participate in their wedding. And people on the right have immediately called for boycotts of the restaurant chain, and in other cases have called for violence or shutdowns of the restaurant chain around the DC area. Activists on both sides have taken to Yelp and other review services to leave either 1 or 5-star reviews and nasty or positive comments trying to combat each other and trying to hold the Red Hen's Yelp review history into the 1-star or 5-star range, depending on how you feel about the situation. Now, I have some mixed feelings about this entire situation. On one hand, I understand and I dislike the fact that people are being turned away based on political affiliation and denied access to public services because of support of our elected official or a particular political viewpoint. I don't want to specifically call any human being a Nazi because of the evil implications of the term, but these are brown shirt tactics that come back from pre-Nazi Germany in the wake of the election that put Hitler into office. And it's not a road that I'm comfortable watching my country go down. But on the other side of the ticket, there is the obvious right view of the way that commerce should be treated in a free market economy, a point of view that is put forward by fellow YouTuber Matthew Christensen. All transactions in a free market should be mutually accepted on both sides of the transaction. If either side does not want to participate in the transaction, the other side should have no means to force the side that doesn't want to participate. Because of my love and desire to see the free market go forward, I am going to absolutely come down on the side of the Red Hen. They were well within their rights to ask Sanders to leave. Sanders is free to go and find another establishment that will cater to her and respects her opinions, or at the very least doesn't care who she is and just wants to take her money. But I do want to take a second and talk about the fact that people on the right are calling for boycotts. Boycotts on the onset are a leftist tactic in this country. What they are meant to do is force a business to kowtow under political pressure for misbehaving in a way that a certain group of people feels is wrong. To be completely honest, I do not want to modify the behavior of the Red Hen restaurant, its employees, or its owners. In fact, I would like this event to bolster them in their convictions, and I would like them to double down on what they believe is right, because they do believe it is right, and it's what they want to do. This may seem strange coming from somebody who would actually be affected by this policy, but I'll take a moment and explain why I feel that this is the way that things need to be done, and why a boycott is not an effective tool in this situation. The aforementioned YouTube star Matthew Christensen put out a video a few weeks ago talking about a hardware store in rural Tennessee that had a sign out in front saying "No gays allowed" in the wake of the Supreme Court decision that was supporting the Colorado cake baker who decided not to participate in gay weddings. In his video, Matt brought up two incredible points about the proprietor of the hardware store. And I think that both of those points hold true in this same situation, even though they are politically charged on the opposite side.
So let's say we pass a law tomorrow to force this guy to take down his sign and to serve gay people. The problem is, you haven't actually changed his mind. You haven't changed his beliefs. You're just forcing him to hide them, and you're potentially tricking yourself into supporting them financially. If I need hardware in eastern Tennessee and the law has forced this guy to take down his sign, I stroll in there and I buy some hardware when I probably wouldn't have if I had more information about this guy's views. But he still holds those views regardless. In that scenario, you haven't actually changed or eliminated the bigotry. You've just hidden it such that you can't see it and avoid it easily if you so choose. And that's really the point. Remember, anytime you're forcing someone to serve you against his will, you're also forcing yourself, at least indirectly, into a transaction you might not actually support. If you actually care about bigotry and discrimination, you shouldn't force it into hiding. You should allow it sunlight where you can see it clearly and avoid it easily.
The situation with Red Hen restaurants is absolutely no different. The only thing that I have to go on about the owners of the Red Hen restaurant chain is pictures that are being circulated by both sides of the media of the proprietors wearing pink hats during the Women's March. I'm not inside of their head, but the pictures give me somewhat of an idea of what they might believe. Whether or not the assumption is true, I'll never know unless I can manage to get them on my show and interview them personally. But if the assumption is true, then no amount of boycotts are going to change the minds of the owners of this establishment. And that's okay. Everyone in this country is entitled to believe what they believe, and I don't want to force a mind change. I'd rather take the time and discuss ideas and try to sell my point, and listen to their point and see if we can find a fair middle ground. But if they are going to go so far as to kick someone out of their establishments who is willing to come in and pay good money, then their minds are not to be changed. And I'd like to have them wear their bigotry openly on their sleeves. That's right, I said bigotry, because they are discriminating against a person and disallowing them from using their established business based on one single external quality. Sarah Sanders did nothing to this establishment and is mainly being picked on because she's on the Trump administration. Now, most people who watch this channel know that I live in Wisconsin, and some people might be wondering why I would feel like this affects me and why this is so important to me. And I want to talk about that now. I do live in Wisconsin, and it's very unlikely that I will ever interact with the Red Hen particularly. There's very little reason for me to go to Virginia, although I would like to go take some time and visit our capital and visit Quantico and Langley as well. But all of that would be a one-off thing, and there's always going to be a McDonald's that I can go to, and that McDonald's is going to want my money. But I do live in Wisconsin, and I work and conduct business in Madison, Wisconsin, one of the major progressive strongholds of our state. And I feel like there are a lot of businesses that exist in Madison that would feel the same way as the Red Hen. This is a small channel right now, but I do everything I can every week to promote it and make it grow. Therefore, if I continue to work the way that I am, there's going to become a point where I'm going to be recognizable, and I'm probably still going to be conducting business in Madison. Therefore, it stands to reason that at some point in the future, this is going to affect me directly in the same way. I may not get the same press coverage, but someone may recognize me and may ask me to leave an establishment. And this is the same for everybody who is politically prominent on YouTube or on a mainstream source like Fox, as we saw with Tomi Lahren having water thrown in her face in a restaurant. And I have this to say to businesses all around the country. If you don't want to associate with me, because I have supported our president in the past and will probably continue to do so in the future, that's okay. Just tell me up front. Go ahead and put a sign out front that says we do not cater to Republicans or Republican commentators. If you feel that strongly about the political situation of our country, then I have no problem with you not wanting to associate with me. In fact, if you do feel that strongly about it, I don't necessarily want to associate back with you. And I definitely don't want to force you to associate with me either. As I mentioned before, all transactions should be mutually agreed upon. I have no intention to cause a scene. I have no intention to call anybody out by name. One of the most unfortunate things that has come out of this Red Hen incident is the fact that people tweeted out about it and it became a major national news story, which has its goods and it has its bads. I'm okay leaving you to your devices and doing what it is that you want to do and believing what it is that you want to believe. All that I ask is that when somebody on the other side refuses to participate in a gay wedding or any other sort of politically charged activity which is going on in this country right now, that you don't make a major federal case about it. The politically charged nature of this country has started to put us into a point where we are either red or blue on the outset. And a lot of the reds and a lot of the blues don't want to associate with each other. But if you go down the street to the next business, there's going to be a proprietor out there that doesn't care whether you're red or blue. All that he's going to care about is the fact that your money is green. And we should all feel free to go down to that establishment rather than the one that doesn't want to serve us or that we don't want to go to because of political affiliation. What are your thoughts on boycotts and the political situation that surrounded Sarah Sanders, as well as Kirstjen Nielsen and Tomi Lahren and anybody else who's been denied service because of the Trump administration? I always welcome a thoughtful and positive discussion in the comment section below, and especially over on Twitter. That is at EdsBlog Twitter with a 1 in place of the I. Thanks as always for listening to this show and supporting this channel. And remember, never take the words of bloggers, podcasters, or journalists as gospel. Find all the facts and draw your own conclusions. Take care, everyone.